It's all planned that way. Hi, I'm Marty Duda. Welcome to the 13th floor. Today we have Holly Arrowsmith. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
You're from the deep south, right?
I am from the south, yep.
Yeah.
But out of my comfort zone up here.
So you've been living in Auckland for a little while though, right?
Yep, we've been here for about 5 months.
And how are you finding it?
We actually really like it up here. A lot more gigs and people to see the music, and a really good little community of musicians who are quite willing to help each other out and get behind each other, which is cool.
Have you been to the wine cellar and all that?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's where it's all happening. Well, that's cool. So is there anything else that's like majorly different between, obviously it's a bigger city up here than living down in Queenstown?
Yeah, I guess I miss mountains for sure.
Right.
And nature's a huge influence in my writing, so I do have to kind of escape the city every now and again. We're going to Piha next week.
Oh, that'll inspire
you. Yeah. Won't be getting in the water though.
No, I wouldn't advise that.
Yeah, I'd say the main difference is probably you have nicer accents than we do.
Oh, well, not me.
Aucklanders on the whole. People tend to pick me from a line in a conversation though.
Right. It's probably the letter R that shows you off, right?
Probably.
Yeah. That's the same thing with Canadians. That's how most Americans can tell Canadian is if they just get them to say the word about. That gives it all away. No matter how much they think they've lost their accent, there's always a little boot in there. You can tell. Yeah. So you've got a new album out. Well, your first album out. It's called For the Weary Traveler, and so it's been a while in the making. And tell me a little bit about the process of getting this thing made. Yeah.
So a few years ago, I got a scholarship. It was a regional scholarship for basically anything you could apply for whatever you wanted, and I ended up getting it, which was great, and it was $10,000. So
nice.
Yeah, which is always handy. So I went to the studio where I recorded my EP a few years back with Steve Roberts and Tom Lynch, and we started compiling this album. And at the beginning, we kind of had maybe optimistic goals of when it would be finished, and and back then it was going to take a few months, and it ended up taking over 16 months. So now here we are today, and Friday it's actually coming out, which
very
is pretty exciting.
So I think a lot of people these days, they assume that making a record is virtually a cost-free exercise. You sit in your bedroom and you strum your guitar or play your keyboard or whatever, and you hit GarageBand and off you go, and they can't probably understand why you would need that kind of money to make a record. Perhaps you can elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely people who have the skill to make something at home, and I have friends who have made incredible albums in their spare bedroom.
Right.
I need help.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It would be a cool thing to learn how to do that, but I haven't. And I think I'm quite a perfectionist as well when it comes to my music, and I do want it to be at a really good quality. And if you still want to kind of compete with the artists who are being funded by record labels and things to record, you actually do need to put something out that's at a very high standard.
Right. Now you're going to perform 3 songs for us while you're here today, and the first one that we're going to hear is the first track on the album called Mouth of the Morning. So what can you tell me about that one?
Mouth of the Morning, I wrote it in a little place called Bob's Cove, which is a beautiful part of Lake Wakatipu, and I wanted to kind of personify the sunrise and the dawn, and I turned her into a woman, and I wrote a song about that. So the song kind of starts really quietly, like the sun just peeking over the horizon, and it builds and builds until this big part, which you won't hear today because I'm by myself, but where we have kind of this big instrumentation come through, which is meant to symbolize the sun finally rising. So yeah.
Cool. All right, let's give it a listen. This is Mouth of the Morning, and then we'll be back to talk some more.
From the mouth of the morning out poured the dawn, waking the valley with her silent song. Like my mother, she kissed me with the softest of light, broke the sky lining with the darkness of night. She spilled into enter every space, every fold, to tell of a mercy that's new with each morning, and it flows alike for the rich and the poor. Yes, it flows for the slave and the free.
Okay, we're back here with Holly Arrowsmith. Now, folks may or may not be aware that you also spent quite a bit of time living in the United States, when you were quite small, though. But you said that you think it affects your music a little bit?
Yeah, my dad's American, and he's from New Mexico, and that's where I was born, in Santa Fe. And
Trying to think of a band from New Mexico. Calexico is from New Mexico. They're from New Mexico, yeah.
Ah, true. You can hear the influence
They
there.
have a very dusty sound.
Oh, cool. So, growing up, my dad, obviously he was around in the 70s and the 60s in America, and he's got really good taste in music, I think.
Neil Young, I'm guessing?
Yep,
Yeah,
Neil
I know.
Young. And he's been to a lot of amazing bands and has some great stories. But yeah, as a kid, I used to just come home from school and listen to his CDs and his records.
Does he
every day.
regale you with stories of going to see
yeah,
this, that,
yeah.
and you have to tell him to shut up?
Yeah, some
Yeah.
of them are probably fabricated and
My kids do the same
exaggerated.
thing with me. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're not going to say it again. Yeah. What's the best one of his stories?
Oh my goodness. Well, this one's actually pretty cool. He had a store in Santa Fe called Arrowsmith's Relics of the Old West.
Right.
And it was a store on Canyon Road, which is kind of the art street.
Right.
And his father started the shop and Dad took it over in later years. And apparently once Johnny Cash came into the store, but first June Carter walks in and said, "Do you have any snakes in here?" And Dad said no. And she went outside and said, "Johnny, you can come in." And he came in and they shopped around.
So Johnny Cash is afraid of snakes?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah, so there's
word
some
is
insight.
That's good to know. But why would they think that you would have snakes in there? That's kind of worrisome.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So what, other than Neil Young and Johnny Cash, what other kind of stuff did your father expose you to?
Lots of Bob Dylan, Joni
Right.
Mitchell,
All that stuff.
the Doobie Brothers and Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, a few other country kind of
Right.
vibes.
Linda
yeah.
Ronstadt, maybe?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, he
yeah.
loves her. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, and now the song that you're going to perform next is a cover by somebody who's been around since the 70s as well. It's a Bruce Springsteen song, right?
Yeah.
It's The River,
It is.
which is a pretty intense song.
Yeah.
What makes you want to perform that one for us?
I love this song.
Yeah.
I think it's a terribly sad song,
It is.
but I think it's super powerful. It's one of the songs that can make me cry nearly every time. Sometimes I cry, well, I'm holding back the tears when I'm playing it, so hopefully that won't happen. But yeah, it just tells a really sad story, but I think a story that is actually pretty true for a lot of people's lives, not just the people in the song. So
Yeah. Universal,
yeah.
sadly. Okay, well, let's give it a listen. This is Holly Arrowsmith's version of Bruce Springsteen's The River.
I come from down in the valley where, mister, when you're young, they bring you up to do like your daddy done. Me and Mary, we met in high school. She was just 17. We drive out of this valley down to where the fields were green. We go down to the river, and into the river we dive. Oh, down to the river we'd arrive. And I got Mary pregnant, and man, that was all she wrote. For my 19th birthday, I got a union card and a wedding coat. We went down to the courthouse, and the judge put it all to rest. No wedding day smiles, no walk down the aisle, no flowers, no wedding dress. That night we went down to the river, and into the river we dive. Oh, down to the river we'd arrive. Down to the river, my baby and I. Oh, down to the river we'd arrive. I got a job working construction for the Johnstown Company, but lately there ain't been much work on account of the economy. Now all them things that seem so important, oh, mister, they vanish right into the air. I just act like I don't remember, and Mary acts like she don't care. But I remember us riding in my brother's car, a body tan and wet down at the reservoir. Night on them makes I lie awake and put her close to hear each breath she take. Now those memories come back to haunt me. Oh, they haunt me like a curse. Is a dream a life it don't come true, or is it something worse that sends me down to the river? Though I know the river is dry, oh, down to the river tonight. Down to the river, oh, my baby and I. Oh, down to the river tonight. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're back with Holly Arrowsmith. Let's talk a little bit more about the record since you've been working on it for so long. How would you describe it to people? I mean, you're going to have to go around and start selling this thing to folks. How do you present your music if people are bound to ask you, well, what it is that you do?
I usually describe my style as folk or Americana folk. I think this album does have some quite heavy country influences in it though, and I think I used to kind of shy away from saying country just because.
I think country's cool though now.
Yeah.
Because you have all those folks down in Littleton,
Yeah.
Delaney and Marlon
Absolutely.
and Tammy Nielsen and all those folks.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
they kind of wave the flag
Yeah.
proudly.
And I think that there's different types of country. It's not like pop country or
no achy
twangy.
breaky heart
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think there's country influences in there. Yeah, what else would you like to
Do
know
you
about?
see yourself eventually playing with a band, or do you like just being out on your own?
I have played shows with bands. This whole album is actually a full band. The gig we're doing at the Tuning Fork on September 5th, we'll be playing with a band as well. But I do quite like touring as a solo artist, and I don't know if it's a bit of like a control thing, but I like being on stage knowing that it's all up to me. If I mess up, then it's my fault, but
No
I
surprises.
don't have to worry about what other people are doing. But I mean, it is cool to, kind of bring the songs to life in a different way with the whole band.
Well, you got to take a tip from James Brown. He used to fine his musicians if they made mistakes while they were on stage. And he had like little signals. If the horn player had played something wrong, he'd be doing like this, and people thought that he was counting out the music. He was actually telling them how much money they were going to have to pay after the show because they screwed up. So
Yeah.
it takes some.
Might
But
have to
eventually
try
the
that
band
one out,
left,
yeah.
so that's maybe not the greatest advice. And you have an American who's going to be touring with you, is that right?
Yeah, so in October actually we're touring with a guy called Zach Winters,
Yeah.
who is from Oklahoma, and he got a guitar made for him in Brisbane, and he's too scared to get it shipped home, so he's coming.
So he has to come here.
So that's the primary reason he's coming, and then we decided to do a little tour, and we're going to do Australia and New Zealand, so that'll be
Nice.
fun.
So there'll be plenty of chances for people to see you.
Yeah, we're doing a little show on the west coast in a town, I think called Okarito,
All right.
and I can't wait for that show. The locals are bringing a potluck dinner to
Ooh,
begin
that'll be
with.
fun.
And yeah, I just think it'll be a really good, authentic Kiwi experience for Zach. Yeah.
I'm sure he'll remember that one. Okay, so we have one more song, which is the last song on the album. It's called Flinted. What's the story behind that?
Flinted. First of all, I had to actually Google the word flinted to make sure it was a real word.
Right? Is it?
Flint is a word.
Yeah. There's Flint, Michigan.
Yep.
They're the Flintstones.
And it means to be hardened to
Right.
something. So I think I found it somewhere that it was verified, so I said I'll go with that.
Well, flint is what you put in a lighter
Yeah.
to start to
Yeah.
make it.
So I guess, the meaning behind flinted is to be hardened to things, and it's a song about seasons and about seasons of life, and we can become hard to things, but to kind of, I guess it's kind of like a call to hopefully be, not get harder and harder, but to
You don't want to get too
softer
hard.
sometimes.
Yeah. Try,
If that makes sense.
try not to get too cynical.
No.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Look forward to hearing the last song, and good luck with the record and the tour and the whole bit.
Thanks, Marty.
All right.
Follow my feet beneath the tall trees. Their backs are stooped low with the weight of dead leaves, but they're letting them go in weightless they fall to paint the road a river. Reflections pass as I roll quietly. The water's a mirror for my lost memories. I dip the oar and the picture is blurred. My arms grow weary and the rustling wind stirs to carry me to the arms of the shore. So I wanna know what the seas time to hold on and a time to let go. Teach me to trust when I don't see. There's so much to be learned from the days gone by. Oh, I will look down on the river unwinding. You carried me this far, you won't let me go. Not in the heat of December or the cold July snow. So I wanna know what the seasons know. There's a time to reap and a time to sow, a time to hold on and a time to let go. Teach me to trust when I don't see. Oh, I wanna know what the seasons know. There's a time to reap and a time to sow, a time to hold on and a time to let go. Teach me to trust when I don't see. Teach me to trust when I don't see. On my way home to the fireplace, the wind it's stinging my flinted face. It whispers release, so I open my hands and scatter my worries into its breath as I wade through autumn's tide. Teach me to trust when I don't see, to love always as you have loved me, to lay down my life to be set free, to guard my heart in your peace, to lay down my life to be set free, to guard my heart in your